Have you ever wondered what happens when the person you love speaks about you in your absence? Most of us imagine love as something that exists only between two people. Yet Carl Jung understood a deeper truth. Our relationships are not merely connections between individuals, they are mirrors reflecting the hidden regions of the psyche. When someone we love talks about us to another person, they may reveal far more than simple opinions or passing emotions. Unknowingly, they expose their fears, desires, projections, wounds, and the unconscious image they carry of us within their inner world. The question is not merely, what did they say about me? The more profound question is, what part of themselves was speaking through those words? Tonight, we will journey into the depths of the unconscious to explore what it may truly mean when the person you love discusses you with someone else. For beneath every conversation lies a hidden psychological drama, one that can reveal the nature of love, attachment, shadow, and the deepest truths of the human soul. When the person you love talks about you to someone else, the words they choose often carry meanings that extend far beyond the surface of the conversation. Most people assume that such discussions are simple exchanges of information, opinions, or feelings. Yet, from a psychological perspective, every statement a person makes about another individual can reveal hidden aspects of their inner world. What is spoken aloud is often influenced not only by conscious thoughts, but also by unconscious emotions, fears, desires, and assumptions that the speaker may not fully recognize. Human beings rarely perceive others exactly as they are. Instead, they see them through a lens shaped by personal experiences, memories, expectations, and emotional needs. This means that when someone describes you to another person, they are not merely presenting an objective picture of who you are. They are also revealing how they experience you within their own psychological reality. Their words become a reflection of both you and themselves. Consider how two different people can describe the same individual in completely different ways. One may see confidence, where another sees arrogance. One may perceive independence, while another interprets distance or emotional coldness. These contrasting descriptions do not necessarily tell us more about the person being discussed. Instead, they reveal the unique emotional filters through which each observer views the world. The person you love is no exception to this rule. Their interpretation of your actions, personality, and intentions is influenced by their own unconscious patterns. Emotions play a powerful role in shaping these conversations. If they feel secure, appreciated, and connected, they may speak about you with admiration and warmth. If they feel uncertain, afraid, or misunderstood, those emotions may subtly color their descriptions. Sometimes a person may focus heavily on a particular trait because it triggers something significant within them. What appears to be a casual comment may actually point toward a deeper emotional concern that has not yet been fully understood. People often reveal their priorities through the aspects of others they choose to discuss. If they repeatedly mention your loyalty, they may place great value on trust. If they frequently talk about your independence, they may be wrestling with issues related to closeness and autonomy. If they emphasize your flaws, it may indicate unresolved frustrations or insecurities within the relationship. The topics they return to again and again can offer clues about what occupies their inner attention. The hidden meaning behind their words is not always found in what they say directly. It can also emerge through tone, emphasis, repetition, and emotional intensity. A brief remark delivered with strong emotion may reveal more than a lengthy explanation. The unconscious often expresses itself indirectly, slipping into conversation through subtle choices of language and feeling. By paying attention to these deeper layers, it becomes possible to understand that conversations about you are often revealing a psychological portrait of the speaker as much as they are describing the person being spoken about. Carl Jung believed that one of the most powerful forces shaping human relationships is projection. Projection occurs when individuals unconsciously attribute their own feelings, desires, fears, or unresolved conflicts to another person. Rather than recognizing these qualities within themselves, they perceive them in someone else. This process happens automatically and often without awareness, influencing how people interpret the actions and intentions of those they love. When the person you love talks about you to someone else, projection can quietly shape their words. What they describe may not always be an accurate reflection of who you truly are. Instead, their descriptions may contain traces of their own inner struggles, hopes, and emotional patterns. The image they present of you is often intertwined with parts of themselves that remain hidden from conscious recognition. For example, someone who secretly doubts their own worth may become highly sensitive to signs of rejection. In conversations about you, they may emphasize moments when they felt ignored, distant, or unimportant, even when no rejection was intended. Their interpretation is influenced by an inner wound that seeks expression. The story they tell reveals not only how they see you, but also how they experience themselves. Positive projections can also appear in relationships. A person may view their partner as exceptionally wise, strong, or perfect because they have not yet recognized these qualities within themselves. They unconsciously place their own unrealized potential onto the person they love. In conversations with others, they may speak of their partner with extraordinary admiration, describing qualities that reflect their own hidden aspirations. The loved one becomes a symbolic carrier of traits the individual longs to develop. Projection often explains why people react so strongly to certain behaviors. A minor disagreement can be interpreted as betrayal, criticism can feel like an attack, and independence can be mistaken for abandonment. The emotional intensity surrounding these interpretations frequently originates from experiences rooted deep within the unconscious. Old fears and unresolved memories become attached to present situations, shaping perceptions in ways that seem completely real to the person experiencing them. Jung viewed relationships as powerful opportunities for self-discovery because projections eventually create tension. Over time, reality begins to challenge the imagined image that has been placed upon another person. The individual discovers that the person they love is neither a perfect hero nor a threatening enemy, but a complex human being with strengths and flaws. This realization can be uncomfortable because it requires confronting aspects of the self that were previously hidden. The language people use when discussing their loved ones often contains clues about these projections. Repeated complaints, exaggerated praise, intense judgments, or emotional contradictions may indicate that unconscious material is influencing their perceptions. What appears to be a conversation about another person can become a window into the speaker's own psyche. By listening beneath the surface of their words, it becomes possible to recognize how projection shapes the stories people tell about those they love. The qualities they admire, criticize, fear, or idealize often point toward dimensions of themselves seeking recognition, understanding, and integration within their own psychological journey. One of Carl Jung's most influential ideas was the concept of the shadow, the hidden part of the personality that contains qualities, emotions, desires, and tendencies that an individual prefers not to acknowledge. These aspects are often pushed out of conscious awareness because they conflict with the image a person wishes to present to the world. Yet the shadow does not disappear. It continues to influence thoughts, feelings, behaviors, and relationships from behind the scenes. When the person you love talks about you in private conversations, their shadow may reveal itself in subtle and unexpected ways. The unconscious mind often finds indirect methods of expression, and discussions about others can become one of its preferred channels. What seems like an ordinary conversation may contain traces of hidden fears, insecurities, resentments, or desires that the speaker has not fully recognized within themselves. The shadow is not made up only of negative qualities. It can also contain strengths, talents, ambitions, and emotional capacities that have been rejected or ignored. A person who has learned to suppress vulnerability may criticize emotional expression in others. Someone who fears their own ambition may become uncomfortable around successful people. These reactions often emerge because the qualities being judged or discussed touch something buried within the unconscious. In intimate relationships, the shadow becomes especially active because love brings people into close contact with parts of themselves they might otherwise avoid. The person you love can trigger deep emotional responses simply by reflecting qualities that resonate with hidden aspects of the psyche. As a result, private conversations about you may reveal far more than conscious opinions. They may expose unconscious conflicts taking place within the speaker. For example, if someone repeatedly focuses on your perceived flaws, the intensity of their criticism may point toward qualities they struggle to accept within themselves. A person who constantly accuses others of selfishness may be disconnected from their own needs and desires. Someone who frequently complains about dishonesty may be wrestling with truths they find difficult to face. The conversation becomes a mirror through which the shadow attempts to make itself known. Jealousy, resentment, admiration, and fascination can also signal the presence of shadow material. When these emotions appear with unusual strength, they often indicate that something deeper is being activated beneath the surface. The person may believe they are speaking only about you, while in reality, they are expressing hidden dimensions of their own inner world. The unconscious uses emotional intensity as a way of drawing attention to unresolved psychological content. Jung believed that genuine growth requires confronting the shadow rather than denying its existence. This process, known as shadow integration, involves recognizing and accepting the hidden parts of oneself without becoming controlled by them. Until this happens, the shadow continues to influence perceptions and relationships from the background. Private conversations can therefore become revealing psychological moments. The words chosen, the emotions expressed, and the recurring themes discussed may offer glimpses into aspects of the self that remain outside conscious awareness. Through these interactions, the shadow quietly emerges, revealing fears, desires, conflicts, and potentials that seek acknowledgement within the ongoing journey of psychological development. Love is often experienced as a powerful connection between two individuals, yet Carl Jung viewed it as something far more complex. Beneath affection, attraction, and companionship lies a vast network of unconscious forces that shape how people bond, communicate, and understand one another. Many of the emotions experienced in relationships are influenced by psychological patterns formed long before two people ever meet. These hidden dynamics often reveal themselves when the person you love talks about you to someone else. Attachment begins with the human need for connection, security, and belonging. From early life, individuals develop emotional expectations based on their experiences with caregivers and significant relationships. These experiences create unconscious templates that influence how love is perceived and expressed in adulthood. As a result, people often enter relationships carrying emotional patterns they may not fully understand. These patterns affect what they notice, what they fear, and what they seek from the person they love. When someone speaks about you in private conversations, their attachment patterns may become visible through the themes they emphasize. A person who fears abandonment may frequently discuss moments when they felt distant from you, even if the distance was temporary or unintentional. Someone who values reassurance may focus on signs of affection and loyalty. The aspects of the relationship that receive the most attention often point toward deeper emotional needs, operating beneath conscious awareness. Jung believed that romantic relationships are strongly influenced by unconscious images that people carry within their psyche. He described these inner figures as the anima and animus, representing idealized qualities associated with the feminine and masculine dimensions of the mind. Individuals often project these unconscious images onto those they love, believing they have found someone who perfectly embodies their deepest expectations and desires. This projection creates powerful emotional bonds, but can also lead to misunderstandings when reality differs from the imagined ideal. Private conversations about a loved one frequently reveal the tension between reality and these unconscious expectations. A person may express disappointment, admiration, frustration, or confusion because the partner is not matching the image held within the unconscious. What appears to be a discussion about another person may actually reflect a struggle between fantasy and reality taking place within the speaker's own mind. Love also has a unique ability to awaken unresolved emotional experiences. Relationships often touch old wounds, forgotten fears, and unmet needs that have remained hidden for years. Because of this, reactions within relationships are not always proportional to present events. Small disagreements can trigger intense emotions because they connect to deeper psychological memories. When someone discusses these experiences with others, they may unknowingly reveal the influence of unconscious material shaping their perceptions. The unconscious mind seeks wholeness and growth, and relationships serve as one of its most powerful instruments. Through love, people encounter both the most cherished and the most challenging aspects of themselves. Their conversations about the person they love often reflect this inner process. Expressions of longing, criticism, admiration, fear, or devotion may reveal psychological patterns that extend far beyond the immediate relationship. Hidden beneath ordinary words are traces of attachment needs, unconscious expectations, emotional wounds, and the deeper search for meaning that accompanies every significant human connection. When the person you love talks about you to someone else, it is natural to focus on the content of what was said. Most people want to know whether the words were positive or negative, supportive or critical, affectionate or distant. Yet, from a Jungian perspective, the deeper significance lies not merely in the words themselves, but in what those words reveal about the speaker's inner psychological landscape. Every conversation carries traces of unconscious motives, emotional patterns, and hidden truths that extend beyond the surface meaning. Human beings constantly create narratives about their relationships. These narratives help them make sense of their experiences, organize their emotions, and understand the people around them. However, these stories are rarely objective. They are shaped by memories, fears, desires, expectations, and personal interpretations. When someone describes you to another person, they are constructing a narrative that reflects both their perception of you and the condition of their own inner world. The qualities they choose to highlight can reveal what holds psychological importance for them. If they consistently speak about trust, loyalty may be a central value in their life. If they frequently discuss emotional distance, they may be struggling with fears of rejection or abandonment. If they emphasize admiration and respect, those qualities may represent ideals they deeply cherish. The recurring themes within their conversations often point toward emotional concerns that occupy a significant place within their unconscious mind. The emotional tone of what they say can be just as revealing as the actual words. Strong emotional reactions often indicate that deeper psychological forces are involved. Excessive praise may suggest idealization, while unusually intense criticism may signal projection or unresolved conflict. The greater the emotional charge surrounding a topic, the more likely it is connected to unconscious material seeking expression. The conversation becomes a pathway through which hidden aspects of the psyche make themselves known. Jung believed that relationships serve as mirrors for self-discovery. Through interactions with others, people encounter parts of themselves that might otherwise remain hidden. The person you love becomes especially significant because intimate relationships have the power to activate the deepest layers of the unconscious. As a result, what they say about you often reveals aspects of their personal journey, including unresolved wounds, developing strengths, internal conflicts, and evolving self-awareness. Conversations about a loved one can also expose the gap between perception and reality. Individuals may describe a partner according to their fears, hopes, or expectations, rather than according to who that person truly is. These distortions are not necessarily acts of deception. They are natural consequences of the unconscious mind shaping perception. By examining these patterns, it becomes possible to understand not only how someone sees another person, but also how they understand themselves. The most revealing question is therefore not whether the conversation was favorable or unfavorable. The deeper question concerns what psychological truths were unconsciously expressed through it. Every observation, judgment, praise, complaint, or emotional reaction may contain clues about the speaker's values, fears, desires, attachments, and shadow aspects. Beneath the surface of ordinary conversation lies a rich psychological story, one that reveals the hidden dynamics shaping both the relationship and the individual who is speaking.